Good morning and welcome to PWR Today, Friday morning, bright and early, 6/19, June 19th. It's Juneteenth Day. Along with Matthew Thomas, who will join us in just a second. I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. It's an odd thing to have a guest again after the debacle that was yesterday of Damian Nelson kind of pouting and no-showing the PWR Today show. I do have a guest. He's going to join me. We're going to talk a little bit about SmackDown coming up tonight, and I think we're going to talk a little WWE Hall of Fame. We're normally used to getting the Hall of Fame around WrestleMania weekend. We didn't get that this year. They started announcing inductees into the Hall of Fame. Matthew, good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's very interesting that this is our topic of conversation tonight, because as I was watching some programming last night, the thought dawned on me, and I don't know if you know an answer to this or if you've heard, but what's the deal with this last year's class? I mean, are they going in next year? Is that the logical thing?
No, I think they said they were doing it fall is what they were hoping for.
Oh, okay. I had not heard that.
Maybe off of SummerSlam, maybe off of Survivor Series, something. I mean, because there are some of the classes that did go in around the Survivor Series weekend.
Yeah, no, it would make sense to attach it to. I mean, if you can do something this year with an audience, or even something where you can have the class be in the same room together, I mean, I think that makes the most sense.
Well, let's talk about it. So we'll get into SmackDown in a bit, but let's talk about the original, the number one Hall of Fame inductee is Matthew.
Andre,
posthumously, of course, with no formal ceremony. They showed a video package on Superstars in '93 to say that, we're making a Hall of Fame, and Andre is the number one, as he should be. Honestly, I think Andre really should have been. The class of '94, a handful of names in there. Arlen Scotland, brought in by Bob Backlund, Bobo Brazil, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers, Chief Jay Strongbow, Classy Freddie Blassie, Gorilla Monsoon, and I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with the work of James Dudley, but James Dudley inducted in 1994 by Vince McMahon. It's ironic that, a lot of these inductions, like Vince did an induction, Shane did an induction, Bret the Hitman Hart did an induction. I guess when they were starting off, maybe they just didn't feel like reaching out for anybody else. But it's kind of fun to have that, actually be the way it was.
Oh, it's a different beast. And you go back and you watch, what I was doing when we were doing our weekly Nitro shows. I was going back and watching the corresponding Raw that week. So I went through, the 94, 95, 96, on into 97 with Raw. And yeah, you would get the little clips from the first ceremonies. And I mean, just a completely different animal into what it turned into. It started off the small little banquet room, and, it has grown to be an event.
An arena event. I mean, it's literally an arena show. Yeah.
An arena event, at WrestleMania weekend.
So the reason I brought this up, and I wanted to, not only talk about the one that we were supposed to have this year that hopefully we'll still have, without hurting anybody's feelings, without trying to, say that better than anybody else, I want you to go down this list that you and I have together and look at the list. Are there some names that jump out at you going, how did you get into the Hall of Fame? Really, not quite sure how you're a Hall of Fame quality talent, or how did you get into the Hall of Fame? And then look at some names on there and look and tell me, who do you think is still missing that probably should be there now? And then we'll get into currently who's participating, who's an instant Hall of Famer, who might be on the outside looking in on the Hall of Fame, and who starting up could be building a Hall of Fame career.
Yeah, in looking at this list, and it's been the question for years. You'll see a name go in, and you'll see somebody excluded, and you go to, what are they thinking? I think there is a conscious effort made each year in these classes to, have some what would be referred to as mid-card talent in there. And I think it is a conscientious choice that they make it each year to make sure that you are not just going main eventer, champion. We have got to put some of these, middle of the card guys. I mean, the one that always comes up when this discussion is had, whenever the discussion comes up, it's so-and-so is not in there, but Coco Beware. The conversation always turns to Coco Beware. And, here's the thing. That era of WWF programming, he's not your top of the card guy, but he is a character that many people remember fondly during that kind of larger than life cartoon character era
Mm-hmm.
of professional wrestling. So it's one of these deals where it's not always going to be about the in-ring technician that could tell the best story or who had the most title runs. I feel like WWE, WWF at the time, from the start, really made an effort of making sure that you had this really broad stroke of talent, not just the top of the card guys. Because here's the thing. If you went after the top of the card champions each year, you'd have nobody left for the Hall of Fame. So I think the classes, you really have to look at people who have not necessarily been the brightest star in their given era, but has done a very proficient job at the role that they needed to take on in any certain era.
Again, I'm not trying to hurt feelings, but that is the first name that always comes up, and it's nothing against the man. Met the man. Coco Beware. You wonder how that happened. Now, we can go up and down this list as well, and there'll be names that'll jump out. Granted, there's a president of the United States is a WWE Hall of Famer. There are celebrities that are in there, and the celebrities, that's funny because the celebrities are on the celebrity wing. I'm doing the air quotes. Pete Rose is inducted in 2004 by Kane, only because Kane had 3 interactions with him back to back WrestleManias. But there's tons and tons of names that are in this list. Did you know that Eddie Guerrero, when he was put into the Hall of Fame in 2006, was inducted by Benoit, Mysterio, Chavo, and Vicky Guerrero?
I do now. I did at one point, but that's a memory that I had forgotten.
Yeah, and now that we know what we know of what Benoit was going through after Eddie passed, that had to be something for him to be up there inducting him when Eddie was gone. Sensational Sherry Martel, loved having her being inducted. Wish she could have, been around a lot longer. Inducted by the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Jared King Lawler and Jim Ross go in on the same year. Jared King Lawler specifically inducted by William Shatner. How I don't get the correlation on that one. And Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig inducted by Wade Boggs. I don't really get the I don't get the correlation on that one.
Yeah, I think from what I recall, there was a friendship there. Even if there wasn't, though, I think Wade Boggs would be a good excuse me. He'd be a good go-to in the year. Anytime you got somebody that you don't necessarily know who's going to put them in, just go the Wade Boggs route.
So Wade Boggs is on standby, boys. Stone Cold Steve Austin was inducted by Vince McMahon.
Yeah. And I think that's a very big seal of approval. And I think ultimately when Taker goes in, it's probably going to be a Vince induction.
The Von Erichs inducted by Michael P.S. Hayes. Gorgeous George didn't get inducted until 2010, and he was inducted by Dick Bayer. Bob Uecker, Milwaukee legend, from the Milwaukee area, played with the Milwaukee Braves, played with the Cardinals, Mr. Baseball. He was the voice in Major League. He's been our play-by-play guy for the Milwaukee Brewers since the early 70s. He's still calling the games. Inducted by Dick Ebersol, who was the president of NBC Sports. Again, it's you don't know these connections until you really get down to the nitty gritty of it. I remember the Ron Simmons induction done by JBL, talking about their days of just being out there and what Ron Simmons went through. Remember, Ron Simmons went through a lot of garbage in WCW, and he was made the first ever world heavyweight champion to be African American because of the suits that were going on in WCW. It was a political play.
Yeah, and JBL also inducted the Briscoes, if memory serves correctly. That was in 2008. That was the Hall of Fame that I was in attendance for.
Yeah. The 3 years I went with Damien down to WrestleMania, we did each one of those Hall of Fames. Now, I want to say that was thinking 06, 07, and 08 because we went to Chicago, and that's got to be, yeah, there it is. That's got to be the fridge, inducted by John Cena, which is ironic why it had to be John Cena, but it was definitely Fridge because they were in Chicago, and Fridge, a long time, Chicago Bear. The Detroit one was JR and the King, and JR inducted by Stone Cold, as he should be. My God! And then the Briscoes, when they were down in Orlando, done by JBL, the Florida deal. So we've talked about, all these lists, as we're going down this list. Macho Man inducted by Hulk Hogan in 2015. I think it's an odd induction. Macho had already passed at that point.
Yeah.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger done by Triple H, I thought was phenomenal. Deborah going in, Deborah Maselli, otherwise known to everyone as Medusa, or Alundra Blaze, going in by putting in by Natalia. Larry Zbyszko, I was happy to see him. Sting being put in by Ric Flair. The Godfather put in by Ron Simmons and JBL. We just keep going down the line here. Now, coming up this year, hopefully, we are going to get some sort of induction. The NWO goes in. Batista's going in. It is said that Fit Finlay is going to be putting in Batista. I mean, we'll see if that still plays out. JBL is a Hall of Famer. The British Bulldog is being put in. The Bellas. Are the Bellas Hall of Fame?
It seems very premature. Okay. It seems, yeah. It just not saying that they are not, but I don't know. I guess they're officially retired, but that seems a little. It seems a little early, and I mean, I'm saying that because I wouldn't mind seeing the Bellas coming back. And not that you can't come back. Inducted, i.e. an edge, i.e. From this past week, from Monday's Raw. I mean, you can still get some action after you've been inducted, but normally it puts a bookend on a career. So the Bellas, in the sense that it feels, to me like it's a little bit early.
I'm okay with it. I mean, look, we had Ric Flair in the Hall of Fame the day before he got retired. We had Edge in the Hall of Fame. We have Goldberg in the Hall of Fame. Those guys are still working matches, 1 to 2, maybe 3 matches a year, that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with it. The Bellas, were they innovators? No, but were they hard workers, and did they, help move the women's movement along? I think so, and I don't have a problem with them being in the Hall of Fame. And I mean both Nikki and Brie.
And I think part of that too is going to be based on what they have done, under that WWE umbrella, and they were, most largely associated with the concept of Total Divas, which got the company more exposure to a national audience. And I've actually met people, in the last handful of years that are not wrestling fans, that do not watch the product, but watch Total Divas. So I think when you start looking at what people have done for the WWE and professional wrestling, a little ways removed from the ring, I think you can make a strong case in how influential they have been. With that show, with Total Bellas, I think as, overall in the entertainment industry.
So let's talk about current talent. Undertaker's, I think, a instant lock and a 100% unanimous decision. Who else on the roster right now is an instant lock?
So, that's the given name. Triple H is a given, but here's the
100%
thing.
Instant lock. Plus, he runs the company, and he's going to put himself in. So there's nothing wrong with it.
And here's I knew this, and I probably would have said this eventually, but after watching Raw on Monday and really watching his work the last handful of months, no doubt 100% first ballot Randy Orton.
Okay, I'll take that. John Cena.
Yeah.
100%. Edge is already in there. Randy Orton should be in there. John Cena should be in there. Taker should be in there. Triple H will become the first 3-time Hall of Fame member because he's already in the Hall of Fame for Evolution, in the Hall of Fame for D-Generation X. He can become the first 3-timer.
And moving away from actual in-ring talent, I think you got to put Michael Cole on that list.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think Cole goes on there.
Well, Cole has been doing the announcing for well over 20 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take Michael Cole.
You know,
All
and
right.
the thing with Cole, he doesn't have that personality that hit you in the face like a JR. But I think to a lot of people, you know, Cole, a lot of people that have grown up on it in the last 20 years, Cole has become that voice of the WWE to them.
Sure. And you're in a pretty bad spot. We lose you on occasion, Matthew. So I'm going to talk for a second here while we find a good spot for you. The newer talents that are coming out, you know, the COVID generation, if you will, who do you think has a chance to make a run at a possible Hall of Fame career?
All right. Have you got me back again?
I've got you. Go ahead.
Okay. As far as the up and coming talents, I think that Seth Rollins can eventually get there. I have been really impressed with his resurgence since his heel turn back the end of last year. I think that it was very shaky ground with Rollins for a lot of last year, but he's really, I think, kind of found his stride in this current heel character. I think he's definitely there. I think Charlotte Flair, no doubt, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think those are two people on the roster now that are, you know, still kind of hitting that stride, the prime of their career. You know, if Becky Lynch
Becky
never
is another
wrestles,
one. Absolutely.
if she never wrestles another match, you know, she, you know, what she did in the last handful of years. And I can't believe that we've missed it so far, that we haven't brought it up in the handful of names that we've talked about. But Lesnar is an easy one.
Easy. If he wants it, and he doesn't have to have it. Speaking of current talents, I think Bray Wyatt has a chance to continue on. And I want to use that to segue off of Hall of Fame. Let's talk SmackDown tonight. The Firefly Funhouse is on its way back. It's making its ominous return. Your thoughts on who Bray Wyatt goes for next?
Get Wyatt back on the show. I mean, this whole COVID era seems made for Firefly Funhouse. I don't know why. I don't know why we haven't had it up until now. Let me float this by you. You know, we saw Sheamus go over at the pay-per-view. Why not have Bray invite Jeff Hardy into the Funhouse?
There you go. And then send Sheamus over to Braun Strowman.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. You know, Jeff Hardy, as well as Matt, back prior to Broken Matt Hardy, this is going back 04-ish, 05-ish. I don't know. Did you ever watch any of the Hardy show?
I know of it. You're talking about the Matt Hardy show on YouTube.
Yeah, you know.
Or MySpace.
And you saw it a little bit in TNA, but, you know, Jeff Hardy, you know, with Will-O-the-Wisp and some of these alternate Jeff Hardy personalities, he can get out there. And honestly, if you kind of let Jeff go in that direction a little bit in a feud with Bray, or maybe kind of have Bray break that part of his personality out, I think there is a huge potential there. So that's
we had Willow in TNA. That was with the black and white umbrella, right?
Yep. I mean, it's probably pretty hopeful. I don't know that they will pull that. I mean, that's going a little kind of deep in the archives there. And you saw what WWE was willing and not willing to do with Broken Matt. But if they could,
they're willing to show that Jeff is a drug head
and can hold quite a bit of urine.
I mean, yeah, and again, his diet might need some checking.
So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I would love to see Bray invite Jeff into the Firefly Funhouse and us get a little bit more of out there Jeff on our TV screens.
Speaking of Jeff, and speaking of AJ Styles, who's going to have an Intercontinental Championship presentation tonight. They're going to roll out the red carpet for him. Flipping through the old YouTubes, I saw Jeff Hardy's debut in TNA, and it was against AJ Styles with the short hair, and it was an X Division title match at a pay-per-view. Holy smokes, was that amazing. Because Jeff could still go at that point. AJ could obviously go at that point too. So Yeah, AJ Styles is going to be rolling out the red carpet for himself tonight with the Intercontinental Championship presentation. Plus, on Miz TV, Mandy Rose is set to address the broken relationship with Sonya Deville. I don't know about you, Matthew, but Sonya Deville has something going on with her look that is working for me right now. They got to get her on TV a little more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And she comes across really good in the ring. I mean, she is very gifted in the ring and just, I mean, comes across as somebody with some attitude that can go. And I'm right there with you. I think that she is somebody she's so extremely believable. They need to pursue that a little bit more.
Well, that's been our 20. Matthew Thomas. Hey, don't forget, folks, PWR is available all over the place on all your podcasting tools, your streams, your places you go to, your Apples, your Stitchers, your Spotify's, I don't know if it's on Tidal yet. I'm going to have to check on Tidal, but it's on the Facebook, it's on the YouTube, it's on the Fight TV. It's everywhere you want it to be. So for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.